You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Micah Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
And here we are back with another WBT Podcast. Today we're going to talk about something that we probably don't think about because you probably are not affected by it. But if you are an individual who is not a citizen of the United States, you have to get what is called an ITIN, an Individual Tax Identification Number. And if you have a tax identification number, you have to renew it every once in a while. So it's important because you have to do this by December 31st. You don't have much time if you are eligible to renew. So let's talk about just a little bit about who should renew an ITIN. Okay? So taxpayers with ITINs set to expire at the end of the year and who need to file a tax return in 2018 must submit a renewal application. Others do not need to take any action. So, ITINs with middle digits 70, 71, 72, or 80. For example, an ITIN always begins with a 9. So it's it's 9 and then two numbers. Then you have a 70 as an example, and then you have the four numbers after that. So it's those middle numbers. Okay? So if you have 70, 71, 72, or 80, you need to be renewed. If the taxpayer will have a filing requirement in 2018. So remember, if the middle portion of your ITN is 70, 71, 72, or 80, you would need to be renewed. Okay? So look at your ITINs to see if you need to renew your number because you don't have many more days to do it. You have until December 31st. So taxpayers whose ITINs expire due to lack of use should also renew their ITIN. And if they will, especially if you have a filing requirement for 2018. Taxpayers who are eligible for or who have a SSN should not renew their ITIN. Okay, so if you have an SSN already and you have an ITIN, you don't need to renew your ITIN. Just use your Social Security number. But you should notify the IRS both of their SSN and previous ITIN so that their accounts can be merged. And you need to tell your tax practitioner, okay? If you're going to someone to prepare your taxes, you need to tell them that you now have an SS number and not an ITIN. Okay, because a lot of times accountants just roll over that information from the prior year that they have prepared on you. So your ITN will flow over. So you need to tell your tax practitioner you have a SSN number now and not an ITIN. Taxpayers whose ITNs have middle digits 78 or 79 that had already expired and were never renewed should renew their ITN if they will again have a filing requirement for the 2018 tax reporting year. So how do you renew your ITIN? To renew an ITIN, taxpayers must complete a Form W-7 and submit all required documentation that is needed with it. And there's a whole list of them on your W-7. Although a Form W-7 is usually attached to the tax return, a taxpayer is not required to attach a federal tax return to their ITIN renewal application. So there are three ways that you can submit the W-7 application package to the Internal Revenue Service, into the IRS, okay? One, you can mail the Form W-7 along with the original identification documents or copies certified by the issuing agency to the IRS address listed on the Form W-7. Read your instructions, okay? You can get it from Google. Download it from Google. Read the instructions so you know what you're doing. The IRS will review the identification documents and return them within 60 days. Number 2, taxpayers have the option to work with a certified acceptance agency, a CAA, authorized by the IRS to help them apply for an ITIN. And you can look that up in the Google. You can Google a CAA or a certified acceptance agent, and they can help you through the process. And that's really probably the best way to get it done quickly and correctly. Correctly is the most important word here, okay? In advance, taxpayers can call and make an appointment at a designated IRS taxpayer assistance center instead of mailing original identification documents to the IRS. When making an appointment, be sure to indicate that this involves an ITIN renewal application. Okay? So I would suggest that you go online, Google W7, and it will come up with the form W7, and it will also have another place where you can click on the instructions. Read the instructions carefully. Again, if excuse me, if you're not I'm sorry, if you're not sure of what you're doing, call a CAA or call your tax practitioner, and they can kind of help you walk through it. Again, read those numbers again. Again, if your numbers have in the middle of the ITIN 70, 71, 72, or 80, you need to renew your ITIN. Okay? 70, 71, 72, or 80, the middle numbers of your ITIN. Look at it and get it resolved today because you don't have much time. ITINs are used by a lot of people. They're used to open up, if you're from a foreign country and you're here, they're used to open up bank accounts. They're used to file, if you own a business here, they're used to file tax returns, and they're used to file individual tax returns. And so you need to be prepared for 2018 because if you don't have a legitimate or renewed tax ID number, it's going to be rejected, or something's going to reject or cause an issue with getting any kind of a refund because your ITIN number is no longer in working order. So you need to get that repaired as soon as possible. Get it renewed as soon as possible. Not repaired, but renewed. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT. If you have any questions, send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com, and I will try and answer your questions. But if you have an ITIN, look at your numbers. Make sure that you do need to renew for the 2018 tax season so that you file on time with a legitimate number. Again, this is Mike Lodge, and I will talk with you soon.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
World of business and taxes.